Hi, I'm Sweetie Aboshi, serving you the first item on our order today, the AM News. Let's get straight into the details. Now, it was one of Ghana's most controversial tax policies, a levy that sparked protests, divided Parliament, and forced many to rethink how they use mobile money. But now, the E-Levy is no more. Parliament has finally abolished the electronic transaction tax, ending 2 years of fierce debate. It now awaits the president's signature to come into effect. Afenyo-Markin takes us through the rise and the fall of the E-Levy.
It all began in November 2021 when the then Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta announced the electronic transfer levy as part of the 2022 budget.
Parliament, a 1.75% levy, as the Minister has mentioned. This is not the most egregious tax that you could get, but it really leads to the issue of inclusion of all of us to build our society and wherever we really want to go to transform this land.
But almost immediately, the bill was met with fierce opposition.
Banks are affected, telecoms are affected, merchants are affected, consumers of telecom services are affected because their wallets will be taxed. So fundamentally, Mr. Speaker, where we stand, we vote against it.
In February 2022, thousands of Ghanaians took to the street to reject the levy.
So that is why we are out on the street to deny the government the opportunity to officialize pickpocketing. Anything I want.
Then came one of Ghana's most chaotic nights in Parliament when MPs fiscally fought over the bill. Despite the resistance, the then MPP majority side passed the bill in March 2022, while the NDC staged a walkout.
This side, we don't support E-Levy. We will not support E-Levy. Count us out of it. They can proceed with whatever business they want to do. I thank you.
As soon as the E-Levy took effect in May 2022, its impact was immediate and severe. Mobile money transactions dropped by over 3 billion cedis in just a few months.
The first quarter of 2022, we've been able to do only 12.9 billion cedis currently. Obviously, we are not getting anything from E-Levy in the first quarter because it wasn't applicable here. E-Levy has been revised to 4.5%.
Even the government admitted it had overestimated how much the levy would generate. The NDC took the fight to the Supreme Court, arguing that the bill was passed unconstitutionally.
We intend to file to question the legitimacy of the decision of less than one half of members of Parliament taking a decision to approve E-Levy as second reading following our walkout.
However, the Supreme Court refused to block the levy, allowing it to continue. With revenue projections failing, the government reduced the tax rate from 1.5% to 1% in January 2023. But for many Ghanaians, the damage was already done. Traders were using cash instead of mobile money.
1.75 now. I'm hoping the percentage will be reduced to 1.0%. The E-Levy would affect our business as mobile money vendors. People will be forced not to transact with us, and that will make us unemployed. From electronics now called the old system cash and carry. The E-Levy won't help. Those at Parliament fighting for its introduction know what they would gain from it. They are only going to dupe us.
Fast forward to March 2025, Parliament has finally repealed the E-Levy.
We will abolish the electronic transfer levy, E-Levy of 1%.
Across the country, the news was met with celebrations.
So Ghana, I think the government is being truthful because before they came to power, they promised all Ghanaians that this is what they are coming to do if they are voted into power, and they have really done that.
I feel so excited. Because you can imagine if you want to send someone 1,000 Ghana cedis, you can imagine the amount of E-Levy they will take. So it is an excited news.
From mass protests to a controversial passage, economic shocks and legal battles, the E-Levy experiment has ended. But as Ghana moves forward, the big question remains: how will government fill the revenue gaps? Afenyo-Markin, Joy News.
Now, it's worthy of note that the repeal, along with the removal of the betting tax and the emissions levy, fulfills a key NDC campaign promise and its 120-day social contract. The tax cuts embedded in the 2025 budget presented by Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen signals a major shift in economic policy. With President Mahama expected to sign them into law, Ghana's fiscal landscape is set for a transformation. Here's how Parliament's historic vote unfolded.
Parliament has swung the legislative axe, slashing 3 major taxes in a move that reshapes Ghana's fiscal landscape. The House voted to repeal the E-Levy, betting tax and emissions levy, fulfilling a key pledge of the NDC's 2024 campaign. With John Mahama expected to sign them into law, this signals a seismic shift in economic policy. First, on the chopping block, a controversial E-Levy, a tax that sparked national debate and fights in Parliament. But after 2 years, the controversial tax is now on its way out.
The reason for repeal is to ensure that there is availability of additional disposable income to households and to reduce the tax burden on individuals. Mr. Speaker, if this is a reason why we are repealing the E-Levy, then E-Levy is 1%. Why don't we go and repeal VAT?
But if we pass this bill, the deduction will no longer take place and government will lose close to 2 billion Ghana cedis. But the 2 billion Ghana cedis that government is going to lose will now come to Ghanaians. So in effect, individual Ghanaians who ordinarily would have lost 2 billion Ghana cedis will now retain their 2 billion Ghana cedis.
Honourable members, the motion is adopted. The Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 is now read the 3rd time. Yes, Majority Leader.
Then next, the emissions levy, the controversial charge on vehicle owners and industry.
Repeal of the emissions bill is that the committee observed that the government enacted the Emissions Levy Act 2023, Act 1112, to impose the emissions levy on carbon dioxide equivalent emissions. Mr. Speaker, the members of the committee were unanimous in recommending to this House to repeal this levy.
And finally, the betting tax, which triggered heated exchanges in Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, what we have done is that we have not only exempted or removed the tax on betting, but we have also removed the tax on gaming and also on lotteries, the everyday lotto. So, Mr. Speaker, it's 3 in 1 and should not be construed that this tax is only removing taxes on betting. We've gone more than betting.
The minority leader wasted no time in making his position known.
What they are attempting to do is not new to this House. In 2017, when the Akufo-Addo government presented its first budget, there were a lot of taxes that were repealed. So if today they are here with some fewer amendments to our tax laws, well, we would want to encourage them to do more. We are aware that in their time, Kayaye was even taxed. We are aware.
Well, the next stop is now the desk of President John Mahama, who will now have to sign the bills into law before they take effect. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Interesting few days ahead of us on that regard. But moving on, some members of the African diaspora have renewed their pledge to support Africa's quest for reparatory justice. The African Union has dedicated this year to seeking justice for the long years of slavery and other forms of colonialism while promoting racial healing. In furtherance of this vision, the Accra Summit II, held in the Central Region, brought together members of the global African diaspora who pledged to heal from the past injustice of colonialism. There's more in this report.
A rich cultural display heralding Accra Summit 2 under the auspices of the Africa Transitional Justice Legacy Fund in partnership with the African Union Commission. Influencers from across Africa and the global African diaspora have converged in Ghana to advance the global push on reparatory justice. This is in line with African Union's theme for this year, which focuses on healing Africa from its dark past of colonialism.
That the African Union is looking and is also approaching reparation from a comprehensive perspective, that we are not leaving out reparation on the continent. And that is the reason why the African Union, with the support of organizations like MacArthur Foundation, Wellspring Foundation, and African Transitional Justice Legacy Fund, has been able to come up with a comprehensive continental transitional justice policy.
The African Union vision is being embraced by a number of organizations, including Reparations United and other partners who say that reparatory justice is necessary for the healing of the African world.
What does it mean to wipe out all consequences of 600 years of European aggression against African humanity? Does it look like leaving no trace of the harmful effects of the crimes? As reparation actors, we must begin all of our work with the full knowledge and understanding and acceptance that this is our purpose.
The injuries inflicted on us by Europeans has to be healed. It is absolutely essential. And so in that spirit of Harambe, as we move to achieve that goal, we have to ensure that a healed African people will not, shall not, let me say it again, will not, shall not replicate the behavior of those who have oppressed us.
Centering healing for Africans and the global African diaspora in the context of the African Union theme, organizers are hopeful that this year's conference will build on the successes of the past by treating the profound injuries to the bodies, minds, and spirits of the African people.
According to international norms for reparations, there are 5 components: cessation, guarantees of non-repetition, restitution, compensation, satisfaction, and rehabilitation. We wanted to use this conference to define rehabilitation for the African world as healing. And it's a multitude of processes and actions that are necessary for us to be healed in the truest sense. So this conference is to put together or come together as a group of international players, international actors with international intentions on how to remove the legacy of enslavement on the minds and consciousness of the African world.
She fought through the agony of breast cancer 2 years ago, hoping for a fresh start. But just as life seemed normal again, another cruel battle began. 30-year-old midwife Yayurame Ibrahim Mahama is now fighting for her life against brain cancer, and she needs 300,000 Ghana cedis for life-saving treatment. Joy News' Grace Irama Akwa visited her at home and reports.
She has spent her life caring for others, bringing life into the world. But today, Mariama Yayuram Ibrahim, a midwife, fights for her own survival. A battle against a disease that has drained her strength, her finances, and her hope.
Midwifery I can't tell, but it has just been there for a very long time. So I didn't have any specific reason as a child by then. But when I grew, I realized I just wanted to do it. It's a noble profession. I was actually at work when it came, and at our place too, we don't have network. So you have to go to a network area to check. So I was actually anxious whilst I was even trying to download it. When it came, when I was able to download and I saw it, I was like, really? So I have to go and recheck, go back to my books that malignant and benign. Benign is the one which is not cancerous. Malignant is, so I was like, oh, am I the one confused? Because that was not what I was expecting. So I told myself that I have to eat and take good care of myself. If they say this, I shouldn't let it weigh me down. I took food and I started eating. I took the first one. That was when tears started rolling in my face.
That was 2 years ago. A breast cancer diagnosis that would lead her through a maze of chemotherapy, surgery, and endless pain. But just when she thought the worst was behind her,
if I can't raise my arm too, he was thinking it was a nerve-related problem. But because I can't raise the arm on the same side, then it would be brain-related. So I should rather do a head CT scan. So and I told him that this is what has happened, but actually I was supposed to come and do a radiotherapy for the breast. And he said, oh, okay. So what is happening now is that it has spread to my brain. That was when I started crying. The first one, all those times, I didn't cry like that. But for that one, I cried, and he introduced the clinical psychologist to counsel me and all that.
the chemotherapy was brutal. It stole her hair, her strength, her independence. The nausea, the excruciating pain, the darkened nails. She endured it all. But the hardest part was not the physical suffering.
For the breast cancer treatment, we went through a lot. But because it was every 3 weeks, at least by the time the month will end, your salary will come, your family will also support you in a way. Finances at this point, I don't know what to say. Because right now, with this treatment, that's the only problem we have.
£20,000. That's what stands between Mariama and a fighting chance.
My sister is somebody who likes helping others, and she wants to go back to her work. At times when we go to the hospital and she see others wearing the uniform, she will just call me, sister. Hey, so I was also like this. I want to come back and save life. Please help us, Ghanaian. Help us with your donation. We want to save our sister's life. She just started, she's just 30 years. She's too young for this. Please, Ghanaian, we are pleading with you. Help us.
At all. This is not me. My face is not like this. This is all from the chemotherapy. And it's even changed my skin complexion. First, it's peeled off and became yellow. It's now coming back a little because I've been off treatment for quite some time. I'm bloated. I had sores on my body that I have to treat. A lot of things were just coming in. My vision too is disturbed. I forget things easily. I can be holding something and it falls from my hand. So I just want to plead with anybody that God will touch their hearts. We can afford.
Mariama clings to hope, but with each passing day, it slips further from her grasp. She waits, but time will not wait for her. For Joy News, Grace Aqua.
help Mariama, this is an appeal to please do so. The numbers are on your screen, so take a picture so that you don't forget to help her. And in other stories, Benis Na, Executive Director of AFCHAD, is urging women in the Upper West region to take on leadership roles, emphasizing their impact on decision-making and society. She spoke during a skills training for over 100 women in Sapare, Dafiam, Buzie, Issa district. And Joy News' Rafiq Salam reports from Dafiama.
The skills training was organized by the Queen Mother of the Sapare community in collaboration with the Africa Center for Human Rights and Sustainable Development, AFSAD, and funded by the Netherlands, EOF, under the Girls and Women Economic Empowerment and Leadership Project, GIWEL. The training brought together over 100 women from different fields to learn soap and pastry making in the Afenyo-Markin district of the Upper West region. The trainees were taken through the process of making bar and liquid soaps, asthma blows, and meat pies. In an interview with Joy News, the executive director of AFSAD, Benis Na, called on women in the Upper West region to actively participate in leadership at all levels.
We are sensitizing them to be interested in participating in spaces where their decisions are made about them, because if they are part of that space, then they can make meaningful contributions that will benefit not just the women but the entire society. So we are also using those platforms to sensitize the women to be interested in participating in even unit committee, at the unit committee level, at the district assembly, and also how do you call it, community leadership level. They should be interested in participating.
Queen Mother of the Sapare community, Ponang Manamale, noted that economic hardship and the high unemployment rate motivated her to provide the women with a skills training.
So the problem is the unemployment, economic difficulties. You all know what is happening in the country. Even those who are employed, they are facing challenges. It's not enough. Somebody even if you are employed, you still need to do something else to support what you are doing, because what you earn at the end of the month is not enough. And then worst of it all, some don't even do anything at all. They don't have anything apart from farming. And you know the way they rain is very erratic. So they'll farm, it won't rain, and they won't get anything. But you still have to bath anyway. You will still have to wash your clothes anyway, whether you have food to eat or not. So I think that this is a very good program for them to enable them to actually generate some income for themselves.
Business Update is next with Benjamin Akapo.
Now to the stories. Tax consultant Francis Timoriboy has welcomed the bill passed by Parliament to abolish the electronic transaction levy and other taxes. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Timoriboy, however, called for the restructuring of the value-added tax to cater for the expected revenue shortfalls as a result of the abolition of these taxes.
Yes, so I think today is a great day for anybody who is concerned with formalizing an economy like our own. It is a great day for a cash-light society. If you are interested, you go to some advanced countries, they don't use cash. In that case, you can track what actually the economic activities are. From the one when the E-Levy was passed, for example, all the assumptions were wrong. We're told that we're going to rake in so much money, over 11 billion. We're told that we're not going to IMF. All of these things never came to pass. So far, I think we raised a little bit close to 4 billion Ghana cedis. So I was happy that the two main political parties saw the mistake they did and they all promised scrapping it. Today, we've seen the scrapping. We are happy that digitalization agenda will now continue. We now want to formalize the economy the more. So we're waiting for the VAT reform. Overall, we have seen that the way we have structured our VAT is not efficient. It's no wonder if you take 36 African countries, Ghana is performing poorly. I mean, I think we are the least when it comes to VAT, contribution to our total revenue. Whilst even Togo is doing 42%, we are doing just 18%. So the VAT reform is expected to, free businesses so that we can see real expansion and then tax them appropriately. Again, the mining sector, the 1% to 3%, we expect that to bring in some money. But overall, they are going to embark on serious tax education. They are also going to embark on full compliance. Few people in Ghana pay direct taxes. So I think that if we do this one, we can easily close the gap.
Now, the Ghana Institution of Engineering is calling for strict adherence to structural engineering principles in the design and construction of billboards across the country. According to the institution, the recent increment in billboard collapses during heavy rainfall highlights the need for a more robust approach to billboard design and construction. Speaking to Joy Business, President of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, Engineer Kwabena Bempong, urged billboard owners, advertisers, and regulatory bodies to prioritize public safety by ensuring that billboards are designed and constructed to withstand the forces of nature.
So this is very, very simple insofar as I'm concerned, and a lot of the time we try to use common sense, but this is not just common sense, this is engineering, and that is why we need to have structural engineering taking the forefront in the design of such structures. A lot of the time we have shallow foundations, and let me just bring your minds to something. Whenever you have structures like this, the wind sometimes creates suction. So we are going to have upward forces, and that upward force, if it does not have enough weight to counterbalance it, is going to come, and we can see roofs, a whole roof, including the members, timber members or steel members, can be lifted by the wind, transported, and then deposited somewhere else. And this is something else. So as we go along, I think that we would have to prefer solutions. And this is something that we have done in the past, especially with the MMDAs, because they are the ones who approve the construction of these outside structures for advertisement.
Well, our business update is done and dusted. Back to you, Sweetie Abochi.
Thanks, Ben. And that wraps it for the AM News Bulletin on the AM Show. A gentle reminder, though, that the AM Show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. Coming up next is News Review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.